Are you recording me?
I am.
Kinda.
Yeah, we'll use all of it, only the most important parts.
He edits it pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay. But probably should have.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jennifer Graham. I do live in Lewiston, but I own a home across from Foster Park. Since the last meeting, a rape occurred in the park by Daniel Thomas Matheny against a homeless lady that also resides in the park. He was previously convicted of child molestation in the first degree. You allowed him to camp in the park knowing this and putting the community in danger. You are also allowing repeat drug offenders to camp in the park, as well as allowing numerous dogs. Just yesterday, my daughter's neighbor found a used needle and syringe where they park their cars, just across from the park. Today, the gentleman that checks the park with a metal detector found a needle and syringe, as well as several other potentially dangerous items. At the previous meeting, I mentioned there had been 280 calls to the police. From April 16th through today, just 28 days, there have been another 54 calls. Officers take an oath to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the community from violence and disorder, to uphold the laws. Why do you continue to allow a select group to break the laws and ordinances? Ordinance 1706, passed February 6, 2024, camping on public property. Time: camps, camping, or resting may occur upon designated city property, Foster Park, between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. the following day. Their tents are never packed up by 7 a.m. You've also allowed them to re-enter the park with all of their camping gear, to just lounge around and store their items in the park from early afternoon on. Public police records have proven over and over again this homeless camp is a public nuisance and a risk to public health and safety, and interferes with the public's right to equal and fair use of public spaces. Children should not be expected to coexist in our parks with drug addicts and sex offenders. The ordinance does not allow them to store their camping gear in the park or on the sidewalk between the hours of noon and 9 p.m., nor does it allow them to rest and sleep in the park during those hours. They are not in the park during those hours for the enjoyment of the park as the public would be: picnics, games, use of the play equipment, family gatherings, etc. They should be banned from the park every time this happens. Start enforcing the penalties you have set in the ordinance for non-compliance. Give the community access at least on Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 7 for family outings, and to let children play this summer without worrying about sex offenders and drug addicts and dealers and rude remarks by the homeless. Allow the gentleman that uses his metal detector to access the park before noon, so we know the grounds are cleared as best they can be of hazardous materials. Sweep the park for drugs using drug-sniffing dogs. Install cameras for constant surveillance. Increase police presence, and start banning the offenders. It's the least you can do for the children, families, and neighborhoods that once enjoyed the park until you can put in place a suitable solution for the homeless. If you would like to see picture proof, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just a quick question. So, can they be banned for breaking the law?
Well, you know, it's such a tenuous situation that we can't really,
I know it's a tough situation.
yeah, we're really restricted by, you know, what we can do and can't do.
Sure. I was just reading recently that Portland has started banning them for 30 days. They give them a warning. If you don't abide by this, you're going to be banned for 30 days from their home.
And we have trespass and people, you know, but it's not, it kind of depends on, you know, what they've done.
Yeah,
but
this is mainly drugs. That's the bottom line. We can't have drugs in the park if my granddaughters live in the cross the street.
I understand
It's
it's
finding those syringes in their yard. I mean, this is scary.
I understand completely. I know it's just, you know, and it's just a situation that, you know, we damned if we do and damned if we don't.
Hello, I'm
I'm Cinnamon Stewart. I'm also a resident of Clarkston. I live on 2nd Street. I know our city is facing significant challenges because not only do we have to balance the needs of the public, we also have to balance the needs of the homeless. And unfortunately, with what is happening before the Supreme Court right now, our city is actually walking a tightrope. We're not allowed to completely ban people from the public parks because they're allowed to be on public spaces. That's what the Supreme Court has ruled. And by trying to move them off or ban them, many cities are facing large lawsuits, including our city. And it's frustrating to have to waste money on these lawsuits when that is money that could be used elsewhere. I'm also watching as the springtime, the beautiful weather returns. Our homeless used to move out of the city and move down along the river. They're no longer allowed to do that. They're being swept up off the river constantly by code enforcement through the county. And they're being chased back into the city. And they're caught in a, you've heard of Scylla and Charybdis? That's kind of where they are right now. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. In many lands, they've decided to decriminalize a lot of the drug addictions and treat it more as a health concern. And by doing that, they've been able to move a lot of people off of their streets and not have as many homeless living in the parks. I'm referring specifically to like Germany. We haven't been able to do that here, but we have to do something that addresses the needs of both our homeless and our citizens. I don't see it happening when there's a divide. We have to find a way to get the community to recognize that these are human beings, many of them very, very damaged, abused, just almost lost. I've provided a home to one of them and have, pardon me?
30 seconds.
And have seen incredible progress in her life. Because she has a home, she's been able to address some of her health needs, and I've seen her put on weight. She's been able to think and act proactively for her future, not reacting to what's happening, but thinking of a future. We need to help the rest of our homeless have that same opportunity. Otherwise, we're just chasing our tails. We won't find a solution. Thank you.
Anybody else from city? State your name and address.
Ronald Coe, and because I've been threatened, I'm going to give you a general location, McCarroll Street.
That's okay.
I just want to say that because of the people at Foster Park, the house I am now somewhat in charge with is turning into a nightmare for me, although I think I'm making headway. Ever since Wednesday, when we took it over, thanks to our good police, we now have a home that's all boarded up. Well, Friday night, they still tried to get into it. And how do I know it's them? Because I go talk to people and they tell me, oh, well, it's this person over here at Foster Park, it's this person camped over here. And so then I found out from one of them, I said, well, there's nothing in the house. What in the world? And come to find out, it's electricity. So I went to the extreme of taking the fuse box and undoing the fuses. I come back the next day, and it's been jury-rigged. So I went further. I got a hold of a Vista, and I had them remove the power line right off the darn pole. So there is no power to that house anymore, which kind of slowed it down. But last night, again, somebody tried to break into it, and they must have took off or felt threatened, because at one point, backing up to Friday, I did hear them try to break in because I boarded up. I had my window open. I heard it. I ran across and I caught them running down the alley. And I'm 60 plus years old. I can't run like those people. Anyway, I gave up that chase. And then last night when they went to break in, they literally broke the window and they pushed the screen up and they still couldn't get in because I got it pretty good and boarded, which now it's 3 boarded. So I doubt they'll get in. For the life of me, I can't figure out what it is they want in there, unless it was the power. And that's what I told they were coming and charging all their equipment. So I've taken care of that. As for a solution, I don't have a solution, but it's not up for us to take care of grown adults. Those are adults. They've chosen, many of those people have chosen drugs over housing. They could get together in a room. So
30 seconds.
It's not up to us to take care of grown people. And I want to spend my last seconds thanking the police, who every time I've called, they're pretty well Johnny on the spot, and working with them has been great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Mara Glasby, and I live on 7th Street. Okay, so I was just thinking, like, okay, so the one lady said you can't ban people from a public space. But if you're in a park and it states the rules, and it states no dogs, then they should get a warning, and if they do it again, by the same thing with, oh, you're using drugs. Well, not only is that illegal, it's not allowed in the park, so trespass them from the park. You're offering a public place for them to live, and if they disrespect that, they shouldn't be allowed to come back, I feel like none of us are being heard. You guys I feel like that. I'm not saying you are, but it just seems like you just let it go. Anyway, I just think that's one solution. Hey, we gave him a chance, blah, blah, blah. Don't let this lawsuit put you into fear. We got to fight for ourselves, too. We got to fight for this city. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else from within the city?
My name is Chris Alexander, and I live on McCarroll Street. What they're saying is right. Let's ban them. They're not above the law. If we get tickets, if we get in trouble, if we get banned from the park for illegal behavior, even if something as simple as having dogs in the park when they're not supposed to, they are no better than we are. Ban them. It's not that hard to do, and it's not against the law to do it, and it's not these people most of them don't want a home. They don't want the responsibility that it takes. They don't want to work. So they take the easy way out. My brother was like that almost all of his life. And he told me, it's great. Drugs are great. How come everybody doesn't do them? That's their attitude down there at Foster Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to step up and speak?
Hi, I'm Sandy Allen, and I live on 10th Street across from Foster Park. And I would like to also add to what they were saying about the crime and the dogs running loose, and the fact that I don't think they have any right to stay there. And if we tolerate any of it, it's only inviting more of it. And I understand they've been shuffled around from behind Walmart and around from Taco Time. Moving them around is not a solution. They don't belong in our community if they are breaking the law, and they are using our tax dollars to stay there. They're being accommodated with outhouses and being fed. I just don't think they should be here at all. Send them back where they came from. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
I've got a long one. Do I just go?
Please state your name and address.
I'm Chelsea Andrews. I'm a high school student. I'm 16. My address is 2030 2nd Avenue. I'm a county resident. I would just like to start off saying, as a sexual assault survivor, I would rather not like to bring up my story or how or why it happened, but I'd like to say, as someone who can relate, it's sad to see adults in the public parks going through something so hard and tragic. It is traumatizing. And as a survivor of sexual assault, I know the fear for long term afterwards. It's not fair. I and many others my age don't feel safe going out to public parks with potential sex offenders nearby. And I'd also like to say, I, as a future generation, would like to see change as far as needles in the parks. It's not a very good influence on us teenagers. It teaches bad habits. I also believe the city needs to have less drugs and possible fentanyl that could kill us. Because all it takes is one pill, and that is a awful fear to think, what if I lose a friend to that? Anyway, other than that, I feel that not only residents of Clarkston that play or visit at the park should have fear, but the homeless should be moved to a safer spot, as I've said before, because they are also exposed to this. Some of them are involved, and some of them are not. I just feared they need a safer place. I'd like to see change in Clarkston for children and adults and the neighborhood. Let's stop addiction and save people for the better. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's a hard one to follow. My name is Melissa Andrews. I live at 2030 2nd Avenue. I requested to be on the agenda. I didn't make it, so here's my solution in 3 short minutes. A lot has happened since we last met. Just in the last month alone, at or around Foster Park, there have been reports of stolen vehicles, drugs, both open use and needles and paraphernalia, public urination, vagrancy, dogs on the loose, barking, harassment, assault, domestic disputes, sexual assault, rape, and theft. I know for one person who is disabled, addicted, and on Medicare, there are no beds available for detox and rehab within 5 states. I know this because I spent days and hours on the phone trying to get one person in, and all I got was no's. And for another who is elderly, age 80, on a fixed income, there is no housing affordable or available in this valley, and waiting lists are 3+ years at this time. The priority of this city and its officials should be safety first for all involved. A vulnerable adult was sexually assaulted in that park by a known sex offender who had no business residing there to begin with. Needles and other paraphernalia have been found in the park, nearby homes, and they're easy access for children to find. My suggestion was to put cameras in all the parks and more regular patrols. I was told this could not be done because they just get broken. There's a solution to that. Have several cameras, several angles, and prosecute for damage to property. Do not let people damage property. My other suggestion, I was on the city council when the jail committee made its proposal and voted yes, because it would be larger. We would be able to lock up the people that are providing drugs, and there's more potential for detox rooms, and you get more criminals off the streets. I attended town halls and sat and watched the dominoes fall when the county and city disputed over a location. I am no longer a member of the city, but my tax dollars go towards the jail. And I recommend, since the old jail is not a safe and usable space, preparing a space at the new jail for a small shelter and possibly 2 designated rooms specific for detox. This would take very little space, benefit both the homeless community and the homeowners near parks and schools. You could use parking spaces if need be, or one less office. The space is there, the bus system runs, it's not impossible, and it's a safe space. And there would be regular patrols. There is no reason that drug dealers and rapists were placed near homes, near schools, and dealers today are even using drones to deliver drugs. That fentanyl can fall from a drone, that needle can be picked up by a child. So in conclusion, know that if a child or vulnerable adult dies because you choose to ignore this situation and hold fear because of that lawsuit, people will not stay silent. And I hope you get to carry one of those caskets.